All right, red light is on and we are live. What is up, everybody? Aaron the dog joining you with a impromptu breakdown for the other two MMA cards going down this weekend. First and foremost, this probably won't be as in-depth with the breakdowns as usual, being that these are some smaller organizations with some lesser known fighters, less fight tape available, but many of these fighters I am familiar with, being from either Fury or Cage Fury FC, CFFC for short. Going down tonight, about an hour from now, the prelims are starting. Just going to be covering the main cards for the CFFC 103 card, as well as the Fury FC 54 card. Just going to get my whiteboard all set for timestamps here, and hopefully it can be pretty succinct here. But if you are able to catch this ahead of time, hopefully I can help you cash in on some bets here. But we're going to go ahead and get started. We got about 13 fights or so to break down. So apologize for the background noise. I do have some dogs here. Really quick, I'm not going to break them down too much, but one of the prelims I do like underdog in is Brant Cooper over Isaac Watkins making his debut. Brant Cooper is coming up in weight, but I just think he can I think he's got a good shot there. He's about plus 130 dog. I did put a little down on him, but that is on the prelims. Not going to go into the prelims on this card here, but we're going to start with a fight at 185. Should be very exciting and very short breakdown here. What up, Miz? Just doing an impromptu breakdown of CFFC and Fury. Thank you for joining, my friend. I'm good, man. I'm good. Hopefully you're ready for a good weekend. I'm just going to break down these fights. Not as in-depth as usual, but obviously first fight here, if you've looked into this at all, you should probably have a good idea of what's going down. Liddell Poag taking on Dylan Weinmiller. Dylan Weinmiller 0-0, making his debut against the 1-0. The 1-0 Liddell Poag. Apologize for the dogs barking in the background, as I said. But basically, Liddell Poag training out of Jackson Winklejohn here. He's a minus 1,200 favorite. I got him at a minus 450. I felt pretty good about that at this point. He's unbettable. He should get in there and get the job done. I won't waste too much time there. There's nothing to really bet with that. But Liddell Poag, definitely a guy you want to keep your eye on at 1-0. Jackson Winklejohn, he'll probably be on a bigger stage sooner rather than later. Not that there's anything wrong with CFFC. Next fight here, Marcelo Nunes taking on a favorite of mine to bet against, and Anthony Garrett. Anthony Garrett, best known for taking a nut shot against Jack Swagger in Bellator. He's also had several other kind of appearances here. We're going to just really quickly look at Lionheart, kind of questioning the nickname, but going to be respectful here as I can be. But Lionheart 6-4, 2 straight losses. Come in here, one boxing win in between there, but a loss to Jordan Heiderman and Jimmy Lawson with LFA. Both of those, one coming by arm triangle, one coming by knockout. He's been finished in all 4 of his losses, three of which by KO. And like I said, apologize for the dogs in the background, but Aaron the dog, this one's definitely going to be more of a homemade style here. Taking on Marcelo Nunes, 32 years old here for the Brazilian, 6-1. A former middleweight, hasn't fought since September of last year, and that was at heavyweight though. Finished a 2-7 opponent, however, but should I think be able to go in here and just kind of have his way, get this fight to the ground. He does have a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt as well, but I think ground and pound or finish on the ground of some sort here. For Nunes, he is a minus 350 favorite. I do think that's a parlayable piece here. He should be able to take it to Anthony Garrett here, in my opinion. Anytime I see Anthony Garrett against a decent opponent, I'm going to bet the opponent here. And that's the case again here. So next fight here is at 145 pounds between Devonte Seawell and Jonathan Jackson. I will be breaking down Jonathan Jackson first. All right. Sorry about that. The joys of having a dog business. Dog has to be a little bit loud here, but really good fight here at 145 in all seriousness between Jonathan Jackson and Devonte Seawell. Jonathan Jackson, 5-3 coming into this fight, 33 years old, nearly 34 years old, taking on the 26-year-old Devonte Seawell, the grinder, 8-5. 5'7", 72.5-inch reach out of Knuckle Up Fitness. I will be breaking down Jonathan Jackson here first. As I said, 33, nearly 34 years old. Took on AJ Cunningham back in September of this year. Lost a very close split decision with Attitude MMA Fights. AJ Cunningham, a very respectable opponent and definitely an up-and-comer himself. That was a split decision, and it was also at lightweight here. Will be interesting to see how he makes the transition down to featherweight. But the size was definitely, I think, the difference in a very close fight. So looked to make the scales well. He looked healthy. His losses to very high-level opponents. Le'Veon Lewis is up and coming, but Bobby Moffitt, his other loss, Bobby Moffitt got a choke on him, as Bobby Moffitt will do. A few decent wins, but definitely Devonte Seawell would be one of his higher level wins here. Devonte Seawell, 8-5, as I said, but has faced a really good high level of opponents. Won back in April of this year over a 5-8 opponent. But prior to that, his losses were to Aaron Phillips, Ari Farias, and DeAndre Anderson, all very good grapplers, two of which were able to get submissions. He also had been KO'd earlier in his career. Beat DeAndre Anderson in a kickboxing fight by split decisions. That's interesting, as we'll talk about later. Win over Albert Martinez Jr. Definitely has a very solid guillotine choke and rear naked choke. He's a grinder, as he says. His other loss was to Cody Durden in his debut. I think this is going to be a really close fight. I actually do like Jonathan Jackson making the trip down to featherweight here, being able to be a little more physical in the grappling. It's going to be a grind fest, I think, and possibly come down to who has a stronger stand-up. And if that's the case, I do edge it a little to Devonte. And I can understand why he's the favorite. I took a shot on Jackson myself. I got Jackson at plus 135. He is still available for plus 135. Devonte Seawell minus 175. I do know this is a pick that me and Lucky are split on, so I always respect Lucky Locks MMA. Great follow on Twitter and great follow here on YouTube. So he's going with Devonte in this. I got the underdog, Jonathan Jackson here. So I think it could be a really close fight, though. So, definitely one I can understand people wanting to pass on. Next fight is a catchweight bout here at 160 pounds. Between the returning Wade Johnson and Trevor Allison. I will be breaking down Trevor Allison first here. He is the 32-year-old opponent, 5'11", out of Hot Springs, Arkansas, 4-3 here for the man, Blackie Chan. A very good nickname there for Trevor. He goes in there, he throws down. He's got some very good tape to watch, fun brawls for the most part. Lost his last couple boxing bouts, 3 straight as a matter of fact. Before that, lost by arm triangle in CFFC back in September of last year to Ramzan Kurmagomedov, who went on to the Contender Series. Never got his UFC fight, I believe, but 4 fights, all ending by submission for Trevor Allison here. Also was finished by submission once and finished by KO quite a few times, including in boxing. So killer be killed guy in Trevor Ollison. Wade Johnson here is 11-2. Impressive record here for the 30-year-old out of Barada MMA. Last fought in May of 2017 against Jason Witt, where Jason Witt, he finished him by rear naked choke. No shame there. Has a win over Tyler Hill back in the day. A little more valuable when he got it, at least in Bellator, when Tyler Hill was undefeated still. Lost to Thomas Gifford back in August of 2014. Some decent wins there. Took several years off there. He's coming back to return against a guy who's very killer be killed. Should be the Hammer Johnson, though. Definitely has the experience here. Hopefully has taken the time off. This is a battle of Arkansas opponents, so there maybe is a little bit of more heat there. It is at 160. He's fought at 170 usually, so interesting to see if he's trying to make that transition down to lightweight eventually. So possibly Ollison can catch him, but Ollison's killer be killed. I think Wade Johnson ends up putting him away here. So I like Wade Johnson. The X factor is the 4 years off, and if that has an effect, but I'm willing to venture and say it has more of a benefit. Minus 325 for Wade Johnson, plus 230 on Ollison. Yeah, I'd say Wade Johnson can go in a parlay with Marcelo Nunes, and I guess Poeg is too late at this point. But we'll get on to the co-main event here. Very close fight between Donovan Beard and Raheem Forrest. This should be a very close fight. I think it's going to be a good one at welterweight. I've gotten to see Raheem Forrest a few times. Donovan, I had to watch some tape that I could find. Highlight reel, 32 years old, former 185er here, 6'2", off the chain MMA, fighting the 24-year-old out of Memphis, Tennessee. I like what I've seen out of Forrest quite a bit. I'm a big fan, but 3-0, working that experience up here for Rambo Raheem Forrest. Excuse me. Last fought in August of this year with LFA, so obviously I'm going to be a fan. Against Colin Parr, a very good opponent, even though he's 2-2. Put him away right in the first round, very impressively there. That was a great performance there. He was a 2-1 favorite, and definitely cashed. Bubba Cruz 2-1, and then TJ Welsh, all KOs, all early within the first round. Also, as a amateur, it seems like he made a lot of his mistakes, which I don't always think is a bad thing. 4-4 as an amateur, clearly as a pro, so far so good. But now taking on a fellow undefeated fighter at 5-0 and Donovan Beard, 6'2". He's going to be a little bit bigger of an opponent here. He has fought at middleweight, and like I said, 5-0. Last fought in August of this year. Got a KO of a 7-6 opponent in William Walker. It was at middleweight. Looked pretty sucked out at the weigh-ins. I just do think that is going to be possibly the difference here, but has gone to decision a few times. Gotten a second and third round finish, so he can outlast an opponent here. Raheem Forrest, I'm a little bit concerned of what he looks like as the fight goes on here. But either way, I am going to go with the younger, higher level prospect in Raheem Forrest to get the finish here. I think he keeps the finish streak alive. I hope he does. Minus 220, plus 180 on Donovan Beard. Older, 32 years old, and coming down to welterweight here. He's never fought at welterweight. I just think this could be a tough spot, but if he's able to keep that gas, the plus 165 could be a very live dog. Again, Forrest has not been outside of a minute 31 seconds. What's up, Mystic Sosa? Just doing a real quick little CFFC Fury FC breakdown, doing my best to give you some info. I like Forrest here, minus 220. I would put him into parlay with Nunes, and I would also put him in there. Blanking right now. And Wade Johnson. I do Forrest, Wade Johnson, and Nunes. And then getting us to our main event. I love this main event. Miz, Sosa, you guys, I appreciate everybody showing up. Doing our best here. So main event coming here, Daman Blackshear, favored on the regional scene. If you are familiar with these smaller organizations, you've definitely watched Daman Blackshear take on guys like Danny Sabatello, many others we'll get into in a second. Taking on an up-and-comer I'm a big fan of, and DeAndre Anderson. I apologize. DeAndre Anderson. I'll be breaking down the 5-0 DeAndre Anderson taking on the 10-4 Daman Blackshear, 27 versus 24 young up-and-comers here. DeAndre Anderson, the protege, I will be breaking down first here. It's 5-0. Last fought in August of this year in CFFC. Had a great performance. I mean, doesn't get much better. It was an 11-second knockout of Jose Perez, who just went on to have a very impressive performance in this last fight. One of the keys, it was a featherweight fight. He was a slight underdog for that fight. This is now a bantamweight 4-round 135 title fight, 5th round if needed. He's also had some boxing and kickboxing. Talked about the Devonte Seawell kickboxing split decision. As a pro, he's had a triangle choke Devonte Seawell as well. So got the redemption in MA, interestingly enough. Has a few decision wins, has good hands, few knockouts as well. But again, he's fought at bantamweight before, so that is definitely good. When up the catchweight, he's kind of gone up and down at bantamweight. Hasn't been at bantamweight since 2018. He looked to be in really good shape on the COs at 24 years old. I do feel. Apologize 1 second. But I do like how he looked on the scales, and honestly, I wish we could have seen more of him in the Jose Perez DeAndre Anderson fight, his last fight, because I do think that was a good opportunity to show many more of his skills. And I did have DeAndre Anderson that last time out. We saw how good Jose Perez looked this last time out as well. Daman Blackshear, hopefully some of us are pretty familiar with him, but very good fighter, the Diamond, 10-4, excellent record for the level of competition. He's faced 2 straight wins, including on that same CFFC card where he took on Mateo Vogel, a very good Canadian prospect at 5-1, and just controlled him with the grappling. Really looked good in that fight. That was following a guillotine choke with CFFC in April, so 2 straight wins with CFFC. Has experience with Bellator, taking down Mike Kimball. In the second round of that fight, took on Cody Norby, who's not a bad fighter with CES, has taken on Pat Sabatini, went the distance with him, went the distance with Chris Montino. Alon Cruz, he was able to finish. Again, he's just Kenny Hill, sorry, I thought that was a different Kenny Hill, my fault. But yeah, just he's faced a pretty good level of competition. He's lost only very high level opponents. For the most part, Danny Sabatello, he went the distance with. We've seen how he's looked. I think we're in for a really good fight here. Daman Blackshear does have the experience. The 4 rounds, I think, does edge Daman Blackshear. I get why he's a favorite, but it's the -270 favorite that to me is kind of crazy here. Daman Blackshear to me. If the odds are even, I'm edging with him, but we've got a +200 DeAndre Anderson. I'm going to take a shot on DeAndre Anderson. I already have put in the bet. -270 to me just seems off for Daman Blackshear. I do think this fight's going to be very close. Maybe it's Daman Blackshear completely putting on a clinic here, but I'm going to give DeAndre Anderson my nod for the bet here. So really quickly, that's going to just line up my fights there for the CFFC card. It's going down like in 30 minutes. I think the prelims start. That was the main card. Really quick, I'm going to just go over to the Fury card. So just bear with me for a moment. I will have timestamps available for this as well immediately after the card. And thanks for understanding the dogs in the background. Thank you for understanding some of the fights having a little less of a breakdown, doing the best I can here, and appreciate you all joining as always. So hopefully you guys are feeling good about the UFC tomorrow. I'm very excited about the card tomorrow myself. I've heard some people kind of poo-pooing on it, but we're going to enjoy it. It's our last UFC for a little bit here, for a week at least, I should say. They just spoiled us by putting on card after card all the way through the year. So very lucky, but I'm excited about the CFFC coming up, and I'm always excited about the Fury FC. So apologize as I'm looking for, there it is, Fury FC 54. Same deal here. Just going to do the main card. Yeah, Fury FC I just think is a gold mine at this point. I've really enjoyed betting on it. I've enjoyed watching the fights. I think there's tons of interesting prospects. This is not one of their stronger cards, I'll be honest with you. But we make do with what we got. So, yeah, with regards to this fight card, this is one where I'm just going to kind of go through the main card as it's listed on Tapology, but there's some of these fights that I'm not, nor will I be betting on, so I'm just going to be honest with you. Example of it right off the bat, Victor Gonzalez versus David Waters. Yeah, I mean, I don't have much to say here. I'll be honest. This is just filling out the card here. Gonzalez versus Waters. JK, what up, man? Just in time for the Fury section of the CFFC Fury breakdown here. And I said if I don't have much to say, I'm not going to say 5-5 versus 1-3 here. Take your pick there. I'm going to go with Victor Gonzalez, but that's just because he's a little bit younger and less wear on the tires, but I'm not betting a dime on that. So going to move on to a fight I actually do have an opinion on. This is at 185 pounds. If you are familiar with the breakdowns, you know I love me some Joe Bauman. It's good to see him back on a Fury card here, taking on Edmilson Ferreras, 4-1 versus 9-5-1, 34 years old for Ferreras. Taking on the 30-year-old Jackson Winklejohn King Bao, Joel Bauman. Be breaking down Joel real quick. I've broken him down before. Coming off a win back with LFA in April. Looked pretty good. He was able to go the distance with a 5-1 Julian LeBlanc. Looked really strong there. Good grappling. Just showed good composure. Just overall looked very, very strong in that. Did fight with Gamebred as well, getting a knockout of a Brandon Johnson. That was an MMA bare knuckle fight. Lost it by triangle to Jordan Young, which we just saw Jordan Young look really good with PFL as well. Taking on a 3-0 Brock Smith, a 4-1 Bobby Downs, and the 3-1 Corey Davis. He's always tested himself. Tested himself again against the Brazilian here in Edmilson Ferreras. 9-5-1 for the 34-year-old here. Lost his last fight back in December of 2020 with FFC against Nico, and with Fury FC against Nico and Chevry. Very good fight there, and Nico is a very good it was a lightweight championship actually in that fight, so he is moving up in weight. It's pretty significantly here to 185 and against a very strong opponent, Joel Bauman. He did have a few fights fizzle out, one with Colton England, and he had to withdraw from, and then with Rivaldo Jr., not sure what happened. But, yeah, either way, I think that Bauman is able to kind of take it to him here. He does have a loss to Vanderford in there. Vanderford was able to knock him out, though, which is pretty crazy with a punch, not ground and pound. I think Joel Bauman can do the same. I like Joel Bauman in this spot. He is testing himself against a fighter with the most experience that Joel Bauman's faced so far. But, yeah, I do like Joel Bauman getting to the odds, which aren't available on my book yet. But what I found was Joel Bauman minus 400. Unfortunately, makes sense to me, but it's pretty heavy price. Hopefully maybe a little money comes in on the veteran Brazilian here and we can get a slightly better price there. But we'll see. JK gonna watch some boxing later, guy on the CFFC, or you just gonna do boxing tonight, JK? I did do the CFFC just now, but next fight is between Steven Perez and Evers Anderson. This is at bantamweight. I will be breaking down the 36-year-old Evers Anderson, the mauler, first. He he's very he is a very good wrestler. 4-2, lost his last fight to John Pham with XKO back in October of this year. He's also had some Muay Thai fights as well. Had some very close fights with LFA. Had a close fight in LFA with Devin Miller I was able to watch. Devin Miller just was able to control a little bit more of where the fight took place. But he's had 3 split decisions, one of which coming in Muay Thai, so I apologize. But, overall, I didn't find as much on Evers, so it was hard for me overall with this fight to get a real read. Steven Perez, 6-5 himself, 33 years old, so was able to find a few of his fights because he has fought with Fury, had a good fight with Cameron Smotherman, who we saw get a big win in his last time out as well. All of his fights very close. Last split decisions, again, 2 split decision losses. All of his fights going to decision that he has lost. He's won his fights by submission. I think that with Evers, sometimes he can kind of slow down, leave those openings. I would say Steven Perez, but again, that's with very limited amount of tape on Evers and just making a gut instinct pick here. Evers is a heavy favorite at -500, so plus 375 on Steven Perez. Not a fight I've looked into much, but with that price, I might just sprinkle it on Perez and see if I can get lucky, to be honest here. Next fight here, Joshua Thuong and Chase Eastham. Another fight that just I don't have a lot to say on. This is a Fury card with a few less notable fights, I would say. So doing what I can, but yeah, Eastham, bottom line, it's 2 Chuck Norris fighters, flyweights as well. Eastham is 2-4 in his career, and he's lost 2 straight here. Taking on a 1-0 opponent who's undefeated as an amateur as well. So fairly reasonable expectations here. He's been finished in all of his losses as well, other than 1 decision loss, but been knocked out once and submitted twice. Joshua Thuong, 1-0, 1-5 straight, including his amateur career here. Knocked out Tony Escavel in the second round with Fury in October. It was on the prelims, so wasn't able to go back and find that fight. 2 knockouts with Fury as an amateur, as well as 2 decisions. As far as his whole career with Fury, very comfortable with the organization here. Josh Thuong is, I'm sure, a very heavy favorite here against Chase Eastham, the 2-4 opponent. Looking real quick, Thuong -900, Eastham plus 525. No, thank you. It is what it is. But we'll go on to the next fight. Taylor Hickman taking on an 0-0 opponent. So going to be tough to have a whole lot to say on this one. Again, we got Chuck Norris fighters. I could have just skipped around the card and just went with the fights I had something to say about, but I'm kind of a completionist so that's why I'm just trying to give a little bit of insight on these real quick. So sorry if it's a little bit of a tapology read for these few, but that's pretty much what I got here. Raymond Cardenas, I know he's 167 pounds. He's 1-1 as an amateur, lost his last fight as an amateur, got choked out, and it was with Fury against an 1-0 Elvin Stevens. Went 1-1, got a rear naked choke, got rear naked choked. Now he's gone pro, taking on Taylor Hickman. Taylor Hickman is 2-0. Fought in June of this year with Fury. Both his fights have been with Fury. Was also had an amateur career where he went 3-3. in which he lost by decision in 2 of the fights, got knocked out in 1. As a pro, he has a mounted guillotine and a ground and pound finish here. So most likely I'll go with Taylor Hickman, but this is another one I'm not going to be putting a bet on. It's just one that I'm going to sit back and enjoy. But I'll take Hickman to keep it going here. But he's gone 3-3 as an amateur and now 2-0 as a pro, but 2 finishes. I think he keeps it going. Looking at the odds for Mr. Hickman, he is a -400 against a +300 Raymond Cardenas. Maybe I'd take a shot, but probably not. I mean, -400, you should really be sure of what you're betting. And I'm personally not sure. Next fight is at 145, a fight I am pretty excited about here. I think it should be an entertaining one. Frank Meno taking on Laham Estevez. I believe it's Laham, former Brazilian, now fighting out of Boston. 3-1, 27 years old, now fighting with 617 Fight Sports Team. That is, he does fight with Rob Font, other Boston fighters. Very proud representative of Boston now, 5'10", 27 years old here for the Brazilian, now Bostonian, 617 Fight Team. It's okay, Abby. I don't know why Abby's upset, but I apologize for the crying in the background. Finished his last fight of Omar Halal, a 3-1 opponent with Fury by high elbow guillotine choke in the second round. That was back in June. Very good performance there at featherweight. And, he's fought his whole career at featherweight, 3 finishes at featherweight, albeit one was of a 3-10 opponent. He did lose a split decision to Shaquan Moore, an 0-2 opponent. Just looked pretty flat in that fight. Fights on southpaw. I think he learned quite a bit about himself in that fight. Seemed to rebound against Omar Halal, but taking on Frank the Tank Mano here, or Frank the Bulldozer Mano. Sorry, 3-2 for the Guam fighter. Last fought in August of this year. He did lose that fight. Very good fight against Josh Rosen, a good opponent. Got finished in that fight. The fight before that against Josh Altum, I was actually thinking of with Fury, was also a very good fight and lost by flying triangle. So he's been submitted his last 2, pushes a really good pace, looks to wrestle, looks to really bully. Says he walks around at around 180 pounds or so to cut down to featherweight. Has fought at lightweight at some points as well, but feels he can carry it down to 145. I kind of question that. I think Laham Estevez is going to be able to kind of outclass him here and probably gets a similar type of submission finish as the previous couple of opponents for Frank. I think Frank kind of leaves himself open in the submission grappling game at points, and he's going to do it again here. I don't think those cuts do him a lot of favors, so I'm going to take Mr. Laham Estevez, the Brazilian, 3-1 to go to 4-1 here. I like the submission finish. And with Estevez, only a -265 favorite. I think that's a good opportunity to parlay him up when it does become available here. But we'll keep it kind of going here. Next fight, I think that some of the best fights on this card are the featherweight fights. This is another good featherweight matchup here, in my opinion. Jake Heffernan taking on Dimitri Ivy. This could be a really good scramble fest and just good matchup overall. I get that when you look at the records, you're going to kind of think, okay, this is set up for Jeff Heffernan, 8-2, the grinder, the grinder, second the grinder to Devonte Seawell. Taking on the 9-7 Dimitri Ivy, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt. Ivy is 31 years old, out of San Antonio, Texas, with Texas Powerhouse MMA, 5'9", 71-inch reach. Taking on the fellow Texas fighter, Gracie Barra Woodlands in Jake Heffernan, 5'9", 146. Ivy, I will be breaking down first, 9-7. Definitely a tough record, but you look deeper into it and it makes a little more sense. Lost his last fight out to Jesse Butler on short notice with Fury, was supposed to take on Jake Heffernan. Back then, Jake had to withdraw last second, so this was a late notice replacement. Jesse Butler came in and got him by rear naked choke. Before that, had a really good fight with Peak fighting that you can watch on YouTube against Hussein Aliyev. Hussein had a full cheering section, was really throwing a lot of strikes. It was back and forth, and Dimitri took the back very slickly, locked in the choke, and put him away. Losses to Daniel Pineda. No shame there. Alejandro Becerra, no shame there. The 18-4 fighter with XCC has a win over Cameron Graves by finish with Fury, which is very impressive. Cameron Graves went on to fight for the featherweight championship. Win over Ray Trujillo, a good regional guy there. Lost to Alex Hernandez in his debut. Jose Cabal Brawl in his debut. Just not the worst of losses here. Has wins by Twister, has a ton of rear naked choke wins, legitimate Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt, really good physicality as well. Taking on Jake Heffernan, I'm also impressed with this guy. I think this is a really close fight. 8-2 here for Heffernan, also 31, now 32 years old, fighting on Gracie Barra Woodlands. This is another, guy who's getting good scraps in there. Lost to Gabriel Silva with LFA, as well as Paris Stanford. Not bad losses there at all. Beat Peter Stankovic or Stanovic, the guy who very good kickboxer. Unfortunately, is probably known for the ball shots against Raymond Daniels. A win over Colin Wright, not a bad win at all. Decent level of competition here, and has looked pretty well. Coming off a decision win, definitely looks to wrestle. He can be wrestled as well. A good scramble fighter on the feet. I think it's pretty close, if maybe slightly Dimitri Ivy. I think it's going to be a really close fight. You look at it and you think 8-2, 9-7, going to go 8-2. I'm going to go with Dimitri Ivy here. This is one of the dogs I'm going to take a shot on. I anticipate he's going to be a dog. And I just think he's going to fight for your money here. Plus 300 dog, minus 400 on Heffernan. And I do think money's going to come in on Heffernan. So maybe a possible dog to watch out for. I know I'm going to edge with Ivy, the 9-7 fighter. Again, really good level of opponents here. And I think it could be a very good one. Next fight, again, at 145 is between Charles Cheeks III and Joshizzle. This is one that it was harder to find some tape on, unfortunately for me. It's 6-2 and 14-8, 33-year-old Charles Cheeks fighting out of Gracie Barra Webster, as well as press forward MMA, 5'7", 71-inch reach against the 5'9", former Michigan welterweight in Joshizzle, the Titan, out of Scorpion Fighting System. A few fighters fighting out of that camp that we know of, coming off a win, but it was back in November of 2019 by neck trank. Before that, 2 losses, one by knockout. Most of his wins coming by submission. Definitely a grappling first fighter. Before he took his hiatus in October, it was a catchweight 165 fight. He's now coming back to try to fight at featherweight. Gonna definitely have to see how they look condition-wise, but Charles Cheeks, 14-8, has fought at featherweight most of his career, including his last fight, which was a loss to Matt Bissett. It was a comeback fight for Matt Bissett, and it was a back-and-forth fight till the third round when Bissett just caught him. It was a really good, entertaining fight with CES. Has fought with Fury before, winning over a 9-18 opponent. Had a fight against Levi Miles, lost by rear naked choke with LFA. No shame there. Lost by rear naked choke to Damian Jackson. Lost to Ray Trujillo, as we mentioned a little earlier. Has a win over Weston Wilson. Very good win. Rivaldo Jr. as well. Good level of competition. Again, Alex Black actually got him, a guy who you're pretty familiar with if you've seen LFA. But yeah, he's a good scrapper. He was really looking good against Matt Bissett. I would lean towards Charles Cheeks, as he's got the experience in the weight, and how he looked against a very high-level opponent in Bassett in his last fight, albeit a loss. So I'll lean towards Cheeks, but I'll be interested to see the weigh-ins and everything, see if we can get a little more information. Charles Cheeks is the -260 favorite, plus 200 on the underdog in Joshizzle. So I was kind of hoping we'd get Cheeks as an underdog, but no case there. Next fight I wasn't able to find a ton on, unfortunately, but I will cover it really quickly. Escavel. It's Escavel taking on Celine Haga. Celine Haga is 13-17. She's a little bit older there, 37 and a half years old. He's fighting out Factory X, originally from Norway. But yeah, taking on the 4-2 Escavel here, not that much greater here. But I'm going to assume they're going with the 25-year-old. It's not a fight I'm betting on. I wasn't able to find a whole lot on it. I'm just going to save our time and move on to the next fight. That's about all I got to say about that. I'm not going to waste too much time on -500 in Escavel. That's why I would assume taking on a 13-7 opponent. So maybe I'd bet the underdog, but probably not. I'm just going to move on. We've got two really good fights to round out the card here that I do have a little more to say about. First fight is between a Fury favorite in Nico and Chevry, taking on Anthony Romero of the Contender Series, and fought in Fury. Last fought JJ Okanovich in Fury, coming up short there to go to 9-0. 24 years old now. 5'11", Niagara Talk Team, 70-inch reach, taking on the 5'8" Nico and Chevry, 30 years old, out of Texas. I'll be breaking down the genius Anthony Romero first. 9-1, as I said, lost his last fight out with Fury FC against JJ Okanovich. It was a split decision. I did bet Okanovich for that fight. I did personally have Okanovich in there. Okanovich was the decent underdog. 2 straight splits for Romero. One to Zach Jusola, 11-6 opponent. Had a closer than it should have been fight against Mike Breeden, but did get the decision. It just seemed like he should have been able to kind of pull away a little more. He just has been a little bit too maybe methodical in his last few fights, and it's able to really keep his opponent in there. And I think he's got to unleash a little more with regards to the volume and the movement, and just be a little more aggressive. I think that's going to be tough, though, here against a real thinking man's fighter in Nico and Chevry. Nico and Chevry, good record, 11-4, 2 straight wins of American Combative Systems in Texas there. Eddie Hotch, 11-4 opponent, and Kenneth Glenn, both of which by decision. If you can beat Kenneth Glenn by decision, you have an extremely high level of ring IQ and just kind of mastery of your overall game. Keith Glenn, yes, he's 9-6, 9-7 now, but again, you don't just walk over Keith Glenn, especially in a decision like that. So did get finished by Lavelle Simpson, but beat Edmilson Freitas, who we talked about a little bit earlier on the card. Overall, since being with Fury, he has been finished twice with punches, but in general, when a fight's able to go the distance, able to get into deeper rounds, Nico seems to really find his groove more and more. It was an early second round finish and an early first round finish that got him put away in his losses. I just think that Romero is going to get another kind of lesson here, unless he really turns on the aggressiveness. But I just haven't seen that out of Romero, and I'm quite surprised at the odds here. I'm seeing Romero as a -400 favorite. I am going to go with the +300 Nico and Chevry here. I'm going to take a shot on him. I like his experience and just really doesn't push for the finish a little bit too much. And I think that may scare some people away, but I think he can out decision a guy who is comfortable in going to decisions in Romero. Hey, thanks, Miz. I appreciate it. I've been really proud of how this channel's gone so far. You've been here since the jump. You've been here since before with a channel that I will not be naming. Yeah, shout out to Boston Commons. Shout out to Bunny for encouraging me to start this channel. And then thank you guys for sticking around for this kind of impromptu breakdown. I know it's not my best work, but these are all plays I'm going to be, doing my best to make. And as things change, I can make the comments in the comments and everything. Also, Aaron the Dog Guy, Instagram, if you have any other questions here. But I'm going to go with the underdog. I'm pretty surprised at the odds, plus 300. I would expect that to shift quite a bit. So look to get on that early on before. I think it's much closer to a pick'em fight personally. So maybe I'm crazy, but who knows? I know I'm crazy actually, but that's okay. I accept that. Yeah, almost the 300 subs. So like just 300 and then on to the next one. But we are at the main event here, and it is at the 265-pound limit, also known as the heavyweight division for the Fury FC heavyweight title between two former Contender Series guys. One made UFC and Juan Adams taking on former football player Austin Lane. Both guys have been victims of knockouts of Greg Hardy. 9-3 versus 8-3, 29-year-old, still only 29 years old. The Kraken, Juan Adams, really was a prospect. Maybe he's being a re-emerged prospect. 6'5", 81-inch reach for the Paradigm Training Center representative, taking on the 6'4", 80-inch Bulldog Boxing Jackson, Florida representative, the challenger to the champion, Juan Adams, and Austin Lane. Austin Lane, we know him for his knockout in the Contender Series of Greg Hardy, but since then he's been pretty active, had a few knockouts on the regional scene with Combat Night, got knocked out by Vernon Lewis, a very good opponent who fought for the title with LFA, no shame there. Has rebounded with 3 straight wins, 2 by knockouts and 1 by a rear naked choke, which I like to see even against a 5'9" opponent. But it's kill or be killed with Austin Lane. And Juan Adams, sometimes it's kill or be killed, but he is a guy who's comfortable in going to distance. 3 straight wins for Juan Adams coming into this fight. Won by ground and pound at the end of the 3rd round against Richard Odoms. In the last fight, Richard Odoms 14-4, good, tough veteran opponent there. Rear naked choke of Eric Lunsford and a punch finish of Jeremy Hardy. He's been a man on the mission since losing the 3 straight in the UFC to Arjan Bueller, good wrestler. Greg Hardy finished him by knockout. Then Justin Tafa knocked him out. So kind of a tough run there. Definitely does have a propensity to get hurt early on and knocked out, and that is Austin Lane's absolute chance here. But outside the first couple minutes, I think this becomes Juan Adams' fight over and over and over again. And weird that Greg Hardy didn't stick with the Kraken nickname from football. Yeah. Greg Hardy doesn't make any good decisions, so why would he make one here? But I like Juan Adams. I just think that he's going to be able to avoid the power early on, but that is how you beat him, is you get to him early on with the power, and Austin Lane's going to be throwing everything he can into those first 2.5 minutes because he knows he isn't winning a decision. So it's just go in there, throw caution and win. He definitely can knock out Juan Adams. Minus 400, I don't love it for Juan Adams. Plus 300 for Austin Lane, but Juan Adams should win this fight. He does look very, very comfortable inside of Fury, and just outside the first 3 minutes, I don't think there's any hope for Austin Lane. So the longer this fight goes, the more Austin Lane just kind of becomes a takedown target and then eventually put away by probably a rear naked choke by Juan Adams. But yeah, I like Juan Adams to defend his title, earn his way back into UFC very soon. But yeah, that is it. That is the Fury, the CFFC Fury FC Cage Warriors, or not Cage Warriors, Fury FC Cage Fury Fighting Championship combo breakdown here. So a little bit of a quicker breakdown, a little bit less formal, but again, those are my reads on these fights. I will be putting up these timestamps immediately after this. I really appreciate everybody who's joined me and subscribed to the channel so far. please share this with anybody. I'm just looking to help people out. I don't, I put in my work. I have my views, not going to be 100% always, but I'm always going to be upfront with you. When I'm biased towards a fighter, I try to let you know that. When I'm, I'm taking a shot at whatever approaches I'm having, I'm trying to be as upfront with those. So hopefully these help you. We got the CFFC card starting right now on, I believe, Facebook for the first 2 hours, and then on to Fight Pass for the fights tonight. And then, of course, you got the UFC, which you got the breakdown on the channel already with Lewis from Northern MMA. And then on Sunday, we finish with this Fury card here. So best of luck to everybody. Thank you to Mystic Sosa. Thank you, JK. Thank you, Miz. Everybody who joined on this impromptu. Like, I almost didn't do this. So, it's up. It's here. And hopefully it helps you guys out. Enjoy the fights tonight. Enjoy your weekends. Thank you all. Happy early Thanksgiving. There's no UFC next week. I don't think there's any breakdowns next week. So this is it. Peace out. Thank you so much for joining me. And the dogs did pretty good after the beginning. So not bad. Peace out, guys. Take care.